Why does the Vatican fear the Da Vinci Code? Imagine if the world's largest religious institution trembled before a single work of fiction. In this video, we delve into Dan Brown's explosive theories, the Vatican's furious response, and the fine line between fact and invention. Prepare to question everything you know about church history. Like, comment, and subscribe for more revelations. What if I told you that the Vatican, the heart of the Catholic Church, spent years fighting a fiction book because it threatens to reveal secrets that could shake the faith of billions? Think about it. A thriller written by an ordinary American author selling over 80 million copies forced the Vatican to summon experts to debunk it and even suggest boycotts of the movie based on it. Why? Because the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown isn't just a mystery story. It pokes at old wounds, blending historical facts with conspiracy theories that make people wonder, what if the church is hiding something about Jesus? Let's dive into this step by step. I'm your guide on this journey, and I promise you'll be glued to the end because each revelation leads to an even more shocking one. First, let's talk about the book itself. The Da Vinci Code was released in 2003 by Dan Brown, a writer whose earlier books didn't sell much. But this one exploded. Why? Because it takes real elements of history, art, and religion and turns them into a thrilling treasure hunt. The story starts in Paris at the Louvre Museum. The curator Jacques Saunière is brutally murdered. Before dying, he leaves cryptic clues on the floor, inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's works. Enter Robert Langdon, a Harvard professor of symbology. Yes, symbology, the study of hidden symbols in art and history. He's called by the French police to help decipher the messages. But then Sophie Neveu, a police cryptologist, someone who cracks secret codes, shows up. She discovers the clues point to something bigger, a conspiracy involving the Catholic Church and a secret society called the Priory of Sion. While fleeing the police, who think Langdon is the culprit, they uncover that the Holy Grail isn't a chalice, as most believe. No, according to the book, the Grail is Jesus' bloodline, descendants from him and Mary Magdalene. That's right. The book suggests Jesus married Mary Magdalene, had children, and the church hid this for centuries to keep power. They meet Sir Lee Teabing, a British historian obsessed with the Grail. He explains that the Priory of Sion, a society founded in 1099, protects this secret. Famous members: Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, Victor Hugo. On the other side is Opus Dei, a real Catholic group portrayed as fanatical and willing to kill to suppress the truth. The hunt takes them from Paris to London, through Swiss banks and ancient churches. In the end, Sophie learns she's a descendant of this sacred bloodline. And the Grail, it's hidden beneath the Louvre, symbolized by the inverted pyramid. Now pause and think, if this were true, it would change everything about Christianity. Jesus wouldn't just be divine, but human, with a family. The church would lose authority. That's where the Vatican's fear comes in. But hold on, before we dive into the church's reaction, let's separate fact from fiction in the book. Because Dan Brown starts the novel with a page called Fact, claiming all descriptions of art, architecture, documents, and secret rituals are accurate. This confused a lot of people, making them think the theories are real. Let's start with the main claim. Jesus married to Mary Magdalene. In the book, Brown says Mary was Jesus' companion, not a prostitute as the church painted her. He cites the Gnostic Gospels, ancient texts found in Egypt in 1945, which suggest a close relationship between them. Fact: the Gnostic Gospels do exist. In the Gospel of Philip, for example, it says Jesus kissed Mary on the mouth often, and the disciples were jealous. But historians say this could be symbolic, not literal. There's no historical proof of marriage or children. The canonical Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, mentions nothing about this. Mary Magdalene was an important follower, the first to see the resurrected Jesus, but no romance. Brown also says the Holy Grail is the royal blood, sangreal in Old French, which can be read as sangreal or sang-real. Fact: the Grail legend comes from the Middle Ages in poems like Chrétien de Troyes' Percival. Originally, it was a dish or chalice from the Last Supper. The bloodline idea came later in books like Holy Blood, Holy Grail from 1982, which Brown drew from. But it's speculation, not fact. Now, the Priory of Sion. Brown claims it's a real secret society founded in 1099 with masters like Da Vinci. Fact: this is a hoax. The priory was invented in the 1950s by a Frenchman named Pierre Plantard. He forged documents to claim descent from Merovingian kings and link them to Jesus. In 1993, Plantard admitted the fraud in court. There's no evidence Da Vinci or Newton were members. And Opus Dei, it's real, founded in 1928 by José María Escrivá, a Spanish priest. It's a Catholic lay group promoting holiness in daily life. But in the book, it's shown as a violent sect, with monks who self-flagellate and kill. Fact: Opus Dei has no assassin monks. They criticized the book for defamation. The Vatican canonized Escrivá in 2002, and the group has influence, but no bloody conspiracies. Leonardo da Vinci, Brown says in The Last Supper, the figure next to Jesus is Mary Magdalene, not John. Fact: art historians say it's John, depicted young and effeminate, common in the Renaissance. No proof Da Vinci hid Grail codes. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD is another point. Brown claims Emperor Constantine invented Jesus' divinity to unify the empire, suppressing gospels that showed him as human. Fact: Nicaea debated Jesus' nature, divine or created, but divinity was already a common belief. The Gnostic Gospels were rejected for being late and heretical, not for hiding marriage. So why did the Vatican react so strongly? Because the book mixes all this in a way that feels real. Millions read it and believed it. In 2005, Cardinal Tarcisio Bertone, later Vatican Secretary of State, called the book slander and urged a boycott of the film. Archbishop Angelo Amato said it was full of historical and theological errors. The Vatican didn't ban the book. There's no index of forbidden books since 1966, but they issued rebuttals. In a 2006 document, they criticized it for distorting church history and attacking Opus Dei. Pope Benedict XVI didn't comment directly, but the Vatican saw the book as a threat to faith, especially for young people who don't know history. Think about the impact. The book sold 80 million copies. The 2006 film with Tom Hanks grossed $760 million. In countries like India and the Philippines, Christians protested, and in some places, the film was banned. In Lebanon, Catholics demanded censorship. But why fear? It's not literal panic, but concern. The Church has faced crises, Reformation, modern scandals. A book that makes billions question dogmas like Mary's virginity or Jesus' divinity could weaken authority. Let's dig into church history to understand. The Catholic Church formed in the early centuries, with bishops fighting heresies. Gnosticism saw the material world as evil and Jesus as a pure spirit, opposite to what Brown claims. They didn't humanize Jesus. They did the reverse. Mary Magdalene, in the Bible, she's healed by Jesus and follows him. Pope Gregory the Great in the 6th century confused her with a repentant prostitute. But the Vatican corrected this in 1969. She's a saint, not a wife. The Merovingians, Frankish kings from the 5th to 8th centuries. The Jesus bloodline theory came from Plantard, with no basis. Now, imagine the context of 2003. The church was dealing with abuse scandals. A book alleging a centuries-old conspiracy didn't help. Brown defended himself. It's fiction, but the theories deserve debate. In interviews, he claimed 99% accuracy, but later backtracked. Critics like Bart Ehrman, a New Testament scholar, say Brown gets history badly wrong. Books like The Da Vinci Hoax debunk the claims. But the book sparked interest in history. Museums like the Louvre saw more visitors. Shows like The Real Da Vinci Code on British TV debunked but educated. Let's explore related theories. Holy Blood, Holy Grail by Bagent, Lee and Lincoln inspired Brown. They sued for plagiarism but lost. Historical ideas aren't copyrighted. Another, the Knights Templar. Brown links them to the Priory. Fact, Templars were warrior monks of the Crusades, dissolved in 1312 over debts and heresy rumors. Treasures, legends, no proof of Grail. Opus Dei, 90,000 members, promotes workers' prayer. Critics call them a white mafia for influence, but no violence. Da Vinci, genius, painted the Last Supper in 1498. Codes. He wrote backward for privacy, not conspiracies. Constantine, converted in 312, called Nicaea to unify Christians. Didn't invent divinity. The Nicene Creed affirmed existing beliefs. Gnosticism, from Greek gnosis, knowledge. Nag Hammadi texts show alternative views, but date from the 2nd-3rd centuries after canonical Gospels. Why does this go viral? Mental trigger. We love secrets. Conspiracy theories give a sense of knowing what others don't. In the film, Ron Howard directed Hanks as Langdon. Vatican criticized but didn't officially boycott. Opus Dei requested a disclaimer. Fiction, lasting impact. Sequels like Angels and Demons kept poking the church, but the truth? Historians agree, no evidence of Jesus' marriage. If there were, it would change theology, celibacy, women's roles. Church evolved. Pope Francis promotes dialogue but defends dogmas. Now imagine if it were real. Jesus' descendants alive, Priory protecting them, shocking but unlikely. Let's detail the plot more. At the Louvre, Saunière writes, "O Madonna of the Rocks, Da Vinci's system, Vinci painting with codes." Langdon explains Fibonacci, a mathematical sequence in art. At the bank, a cryptex, Brown's invention inspired by Da Vinci. At Teabing's house, he shows the Last Supper. Look, no chalice. Mary is the Grail. Silas, the albino Opus Dei monk, self-flagellates, based on real practices but exaggerated. Rosslyn Chapel, Scotland, full of Masonic symbols. Book says Grail there, but it's a 15th century church. Final, Langdon realizes Grail is under Louvre, a metaphor. Why Vatican's fear? It confuses believers. Polls show, post-book, more believe Jesus was married. Response, books like Breaking the Da Vinci Code by Darrell Bock. Pop culture, parodies in The Simpsons, university debates. Brown's life, English teacher, inspired by mathematician father, wrote in secret. Success, 200 million books sold total. Literary critics, repetitive prose, but addictive. Trigger, what if your faith is based on lies? More history, Mary Magdalene in Provence, France, medieval legend, not fact. Merovingians, Clovis he converted in 496. Crusades, 1095, 1291, Templars protected pilgrims. Inquisition, suppressed heresies, not Grail. Renaissance, Da Vinci, atheist. No, Christian, but curious. Enlightenment, Newton, Freemason, yes, but not Priory. Modern, Vatican II, 1962-65, open church. Scandals, pedophilia, Vatican Bank, fuel conspiracies. Brown sources, The Woman with the Alabaster Jar by Margaret Starr Bird. Debate, feminism in church. Book promotes sacred feminine. Vatican, ordain women? No, but discussion ongoing. Conclusion, book is fun, but check facts. Now let's break down each chapter of the plot. Prologue. Saunière chased by Silas. He protects the secret.